Hello everyone, it's Alex on this amazing, what is it? I don't even know what day it is. Hang on, I do know what day it is. No, I don't know what day it is. Okay, anyway, welcome everyone. I wanted to do a quick live on the connection between detoxing your body and wait for it, drum roll, making more money. What does one have to do with the other? Everything. And what I mean by that is, well, first of all, I learned about the connection between, and it's not just detoxing, the connection between, what's that? Oh, it sounds amazing. Yeah, okay, so detoxing and the connection between detox, making money. So the connection is this, and it's not just about detoxing, but it's really about regenerating your body. And the first time that I made the connection was in my own experience, and I'll just quickly summarize, yes, I come from a background of having worked I did two directions. One was I was working in fashion, which was really just an ego stint that I needed to go through to satisfy some ego stuff, and then to come to the realization that actually it's not what I care about, and that was done. So I worked in high fashion, selling some of the highest brands, creating for brands. Okay, hi. But my main thing was always actually consulting for health and wellness spas around the world, and doing training and concept development and all of that. And, so I made money there, and it was good money, and I was successful. But then, interestingly enough, when I not decided, because I didn't decide, when Spirit called me and said, look, Alex, if you want to continue this way, you're going to die. You have to change your ways, because you came here to do, quote, bigger work. It's like, it's not about bigger, better, but you came to do spirit work. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen. Actually, that wasn't my reply. My first reply was, hang on, can't I just have another year here? I'm making really good money, and I promise that in a year's time I'm gonna do what I came here to do. And Spirit was like, nah, cut the bullshit. You're gonna withdraw your energies now, and you have to do what you came here to do. And so I withdrew all my energies, and then I went and I first had to dive deep into my own healing process, as it always happens, by the way. And of course it was scary as hell, because in the old world, in the old ways, I knew how to make money. It was clear. But then as I completely dissolved that, all of a sudden it was like, okay, now, what am I? Am I a healer? Am I a it's like, what do I do? What do I call myself? And how do I make money with this? There was and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this, or maybe experiencing this. I didn't know how to charge for healing work, spirit work. It almost seemed wrong and preposterous and deceitful, and all of the things. And so for quite a while initially, thank goodness my husband was still working in corporate and whatever, but I took a huge knock. I went from making a lot of money and never really having to worry about money and being able to just buy whatever, to needing to tread very carefully. And the years that I was working through these things and sort of stuck in that not knowing, they were hard, not so much financially, but it was hard on a personal level because, again, there was this thing of like, how do I move here, you know, without feeling like a fraud, without feeling like I'm being greedy, or, you know, all these things. But then what happened is that as I really regenerated my body and I came back to my, I wouldn't say even full health, because I'm still, you know, on that journey, like this journey, and that's a whole other discussion. It is in some ways never ending, you know, there is an end, but, you know, it's a long process. But as I began to really flourish and to go, wow, I've never ever felt this good in my body. I've never felt so peaceful. And, you know, even to a degree, yes, looked this good, you know, which to many might be like, oh, you know, I still see all these imperfections. Yes, of course. But from where I came from was like, no, actually, wow, I'm really happy. And I'm not knowing still from me enough. Yeah. Totally get it. So great, you're in the right place. So, you know, once I came into this feeling of like, wow, I have created my body as the house of God. Like, I've done the work, you know, and again, not because it's done, but because I've put in the work to be on this perpetual journey. And the better I was feeling, and the more love, because it's really love, this journey brings you into a deep state of self-love. And yes, there's going to be moments where that isn't there, you know, we're women, we're conditioned, it's going to be there, it's going to take a while. But overarchingly, that was the feeling. It was a feeling of like, wow, I'm really loving myself well in all ways. And I'm respecting myself, and I'm doing things in the right way. Again, not everything, but just overarchingly so. And as that became more and more, like as I grew into this feeling of like, wow, this is my body, my temple, my life, and I'm doing it the way that I want to, so grew my value, because I started to value myself. I began to take myself seriously, and all the voices, which of course comes from conditioning, and we all have them, that were previously alive and saying, you know, you're not good enough. And especially because here's the thing, as long as I was in the matrix and performing according to what the matrix wanted from me, in other words, being a good girl, you know, then I was worthy of making money, because there was a template for that. There were certain things that you do, and if you do those things, like, you know, you work hard, in my case, you know, you jet set around the world, because, you know, that's what you do when you're in fashion and when you're a creatress, and, you know, and exhausting as it was and all those things, but it was like, if you tick all the right boxes, then you deserve to make money. But when you come and you want to live from your own desire, creativity, like you know, your own, like, I feel like doing things this and this way. Ooh, but I probably can't. I probably shouldn't. That's probably wrong. You know, that probably would make me look lazy, or, you know, crazy, lazy. You know, all the things. When we operate, when we try and operate from that way, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't make money. I can't make money doing things the way that I love doing them, with ease and flow, and, you know, out of just the arising that comes from the body. No, I need to, you know, be in my masculine, right? So I mean, initially that's the dance, like we're torn between the two. And then eventually, when I couldn't be in that polarity anymore, in this division from within, when it was like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to do things my way. I'm really going to trust, what comes from the earth through me, what penetrates me, like what penetrates me, what moves me. Not an idea, but truly like what energy is moving inside of me, through me, that wants to be expressed, to the degree that it's almost like I can't help it. Like I have to respond. I have to let this energy loose. And once I just decided, well, worst comes to worst, I'm going to find out that this is not the way. Worst comes to worst, I'm going to be exposed as a fraud. Worst comes to worst, I'm going to be exposed as, whatever, all the terrible things. And then to discover, and of course it's a journey that, oh wow, like when I'm really in my fullest, authentic, raw expression, then it works. There's a resonance, like there's a response from people. And not just a response from people, but there's a financial response. Because at the end of the day, what is money? It's energy, it's I don't know what else to call it. It's money. I mean, it's energy. Money is money, yes. Money is energy. And when we see that everything is energy, and we get the response back, it's like, well, okay, clearly I'm doing the right thing, And then all of a sudden, like this idea of making money as if it's something that you produce, that you make, fell away. Because, for those of you joining just now, like for years I was trapped in between, well, I know how to make money in the matrix in the traditional sense, and that was kind of easy. But then making money in the new way was, I was caught like a deer in the headlights. I was like, I don't know, and all of a sudden I went from like making tons and knowing how to wheel and deal to, no, here I can't do that, But then once I surrendered to my flow and to my worthiness, because of the work that I was doing inside of my body, because, actually I'm remembering now, like, why did I even just begin this discussion? Because, the title was, what does detox and money have to do with one another? And so as my flow just came, I then observed others that as they were coming into, the embodiment of their godly given temple and body, and as they started to experience, because that's the key word, is as they began to experience their body as the house of God, which is it's a continual process. It's not like, we start and then, we bake ourselves finished. No, it's a continual process. But as that experience was experienced, their business started to flourish. And sometimes, just to give you some examples, like the one person, literally, I just gave him a download. We did a little bit of work together, gave him the download on worthiness and, charging for the transformation that you're able to give to people. But then also for me, it's not about coaching. It's like loving people, loving the people that you're working with, because, and what is love? Not love in a fluffy way, like I love you. No, loving as in, I see you. I see what you need. You may not want it because you're coming from your old conditioning, because you're coming from your wounding, but I see what you need, and I'm going to give it to you, present it to you in a way that is acceptable to you, that you can open up to this and you can be elevated by it, right? Like that to me is what makes all the difference when we work with people. And it's not about taking your blueprint, your dogma, your experience, and plastering, which I see so often, plastering it onto everybody else and going, well, you know, it worked for me, this is the way it needs to work for everybody. No, it's like having the skill to really go in there and go, okay, how can I elevate this person, knowing that this is where they come from, and also in a sense knowing and feeling, sensing, well, this is kind of where they're going, where their next destiny is, and therefore this is the trajectory, these are the steps that they need to take in order to get there. And when that happens, inevitably money just becomes a response. In fact, now that I think of it, you know, what happens is, and I've posted about this, like, you know, oftentimes I go, well, I help people get their dream life through coming home to the house of God. So it's like, well, even how does that relate? You know, how do you get a dream life just because you're detoxing? Don't I need, you know, other coaching for that? I mean, yes, maybe. But in my experience, as people heal their body, not just fix or suppress or stimulate, but heal, begin the healing journey, you know, and are on this path of healing, regenerating, undoing what has been done, and strengthening on a cellular level, which then also means it means owning your karma and flourishing into your destiny. And as that happens, inevitably the consequences are you're going to choose better partners, you're going to parent your children differently, and again, my own experience, your sexual expression changes for many different reasons. It's like everything in your life becomes authentic. And therefore, naturally, without needing, you know, all these other techniques, you're just going to honor yourself in all areas of life. And this, by the way, you know, fasting especially, fasting, detoxing especially, puts you into a state where nothing that is not true to you, for you, can be sustained, can be tolerated, you know. I mean, I still remember my first few fasts, you know. Of course, eventually you get to the point where you've purified the gross stuff and then it's no longer like so in your face. But I remember the first few long fasts that I did, I became this ninja where, you know, every little thing that just didn't feel good, that wasn't aligned, it became like that gets chopped away ruthlessly, you know. Whereas previously, when I wasn't fasting, I would be like, I don't know if I can do that, you know. And here it was like ruthlessness and impeccability to go, no, like this just no longer serves me. It's no longer serving who I am in my essence and who I am becoming, and therefore these things must go. And then that's how you create alignment, a life that is, for the most part, I mean, nobody lives, you know, in perpetual perfect alignment. Like, that's also an illusion, but where you're definitely walking on a much more narrow road. Your road becomes very, very narrow, your path becomes very narrow, and there's no more distraction. Thank you. So, you know, that's and that's really my experience. And I wanted to give you some sort of like, you know, detailed examples. So this one guy, I worked with him a little bit, and, you know, he went, so we didn't even go super deep, you know, we just did a bit of detoxing, a bit of reprogramming, and literally within 6 weeks, he was charging, I can't remember what it was, but it was, you know, he went from charging X amount to being able to charge something ridiculous like 12 times more than what he used to charge. And of course somebody could say, oh, that's wrong, whatever. No, because when you own your worth and when you get paid for your worth, for your experience, for your wisdom, your knowledge, the performance that you give, the value that you give is going to be infinitely higher. Whereas, and this again is from my own experience and witnessing others. Whereas if you kind of go, yeah, well, this is standard, or I can only charge this, you're going to give this. And I mean, that's all I can say again from my own experience. Whereas when it's just like when you're loved conditionally, it doesn't work. But if you're loved unconditionally, if you are seen for everything that you are, you're not going to spiral downwards very easily. You're just going to be in continual elevation. And money works the same way. Another example is a woman that I was working with, and we probably detoxed for, I would say, that was like a bit of a longer process, like 9 months, because there was a lot of undoing of deeper traumas, lineage stuff, deep lineage stuff, that as we detox, it comes up and out, a lot of stuff we're not even aware of it. Like there's traumas that we're aware of, and we work with them, and as we dissolve them, we feel good about it. But then, and this is where it gets tricky, but then there's a deeper layer of almost like foundational, fundamental trauma that is typically part of our lineage, that is therefore not just ours, but it's been passed down lineage-wise, so the roots are a lot deeper. And it can be a much bigger blind spot. And so as we detox, these deeper layers, at some point, for some it may take a little bit longer, but at some point these deeper roots will come up. And a lot of this is coming up right now for a lot of us, because the world is in trauma, and so no matter how much work you've done, stuff is gonna shift. It's gonna come to the surface for all of us, especially those of us that have done a lot of work. And when those deeper patterns come up, because it's pre-verbal, and so sometimes they can be the hardest to dissolve, and in a sense the ugliest, the most painful, the more frightening, with more resistance. So anyway, the person I'm speaking about, that's what was going on there. There was a lot of ancestral stuff, a lot of heavy, dark shit to work through. But once she did, it was amazing to witness, because she literally 10 times again her income in a matter of months. And it wasn't, and this is the key here, it wasn't through creating clever funnels, and it was just because it was this natural arising. It wasn't, there was no fear involved, it was just oh yeah, this actually, wow, this is the next step. It's like for people when they're a lifelong in an abusive relationship, and then they realize their pattern, they realize their value, and the next relationship is, boom, they meet the right man where everything just fits and they fly, you don't always have to go through passages or increments, that's also just that's old school thinking. We can, when we do the foundational work, when we work at a root level, at a cellular level, things just get flung out, and it's there's a whole rearrangement that happens, and it's almost who was the one that was having those issues, and It's like, wow, that's just no longer an issue, you know. And then somebody else more recently also, after like 3-4 months of working together, she created, like, seemingly out of nowhere, as in, you know, yesterday she was still in like a pickle and confusion and whatever, which happens when we're detoxing. And then a couple days later, it was like, bam, the lights went off, and she just saw it wasn't even seeing, she felt what she needed to do, what she wanted to do. Not needed, wanted to, like, it was just arising, this fire of desire. And it almost feels giddy because, like, can I? Like, is this? Because it's not mental. It doesn't happen in the mind. It's just, it happens out. It's a birthing out of our truest essence. And all she needed was like a tiny little bit of encouragement from my side to go, yeah, like, there you have it. Go for it. You know, what you're experiencing is true and right, and, you know, put it out there. And she put it out there in this playful, innocent way. And, you know, within like days, she's like, oh my gosh, the program sold out, you know, and made $70,000 just like that. And, you know, still coming back and be like, is that okay? Am I a fraud? Is that wrong? How can it be? It was like, no, it can be. It can totally be. Let me just see, what are you saying? Can you please share your opinion about long juice fasting? Yeah, this is not the live for that, and, you know, I'll speak about juice fasting some other time. There's a place for everything, you know, there absolutely is. It's always just seeing, you know, where are you at, what are the motives. I'll share about some fasting, you know, because I definitely have, as to be expected, a different perspective now. But, you know, there's a time and place for everything. What about giving money away to charity? I feel worth, but feel that others are worthy too. Of course, I always do. We give, you know, I've done charity work, certainly ever since I started this journey. We have a non-profit organization in South Africa, and, you know, so at least 10%, which, you know, 10, Kundalini Yoga speaks about 11%, but, you know, whatever it is, 10%, definitely, you know, give. Just like I always work with people that, you know, can't necessarily pay me or whatever. So, I mean, you know, there's many ways. Thank you, Rosie. I receive your compliment. So, you know, and this whole money thing, in many ways, it's a passion of mine, because I believe that there's a lot of people out there that are like magnificent, that have true heart, true gifts. I mean, never mind, we all do, okay? We all do. If you're alive and breathing, it's because you have gifts to share for the world, period. And some of us, you know, like, depending on sort of many configurations, some of us are here to work hard, and some of us aren't, you know. So there's also this whole concept, oh, you got to work hard. It's not true. It's just not true, because some people work hard on the inside, some people work hard on the outside. You know, there isn't a one size fits all. It's what is true to your signature, to your karmic destiny. You know, what is your karma? Own it, but then also own equally your dharma, your destiny. Because if the two don't meet, you know, it's not that you're in trouble, but you're not going to fulfill your destiny. And yes, what is the purpose of money? The purpose of money is like, what is the purpose of food? You know, enjoy. And for example, I do believe that at some point, you know, if you want to talk esoterically, I do believe that we can, in fact, not only do I believe, I have experienced, only for a short time, but I have experienced and touched breatharianism. Very short time, but enough to know it's fully possible. Like, I do believe if that is your goal and destiny to become a breatharian, we can be maybe not 100%, but we can at least be 80% breatharian. Totally. I know people. But does that mean that everybody should give up food, or that giving up food is a necessity for everybody to be healthy? No. Just like fasting. Is fasting amazing? Absolutely. So similarly, with money, like, what is money there for? Because, there can be, and I've been through that, there can be such a hate of money. Hate of money, fear of money, disgust with money, In fact, I'm going to share a really cool little exercise with you just now. And I'm going to talk more about money. There's always so many things to talk about, and then I forget, because it's like, what's arising, and then I put it out there. So yeah, back to, what is the purpose of money? It's like food. Enjoy it, but don't be attached to it. It's just that. It's just money. And the saying, some people, all they have is money. And it's the truth, some people, all they have is money. So then what is money? It's nothing. Money's neutral. Money's neutral. It's like food. Food is there for everybody. All kinds of food. Like money. But then what is your relationship to it? How do you feel about it? What do you resist in it? And we all, at some point, if we want to live consciously and we want to live in a peaceful relationship with all things, at some point we have to confront our relationship with money, our relationship with food. And it's not that there is such a thing as a good and a bad relationship with it, but whatever relationship we are in with money, with food, with whatever, is a starting point. And it's just that, like some of us have a very neutral relationship to sex. It's like, it doesn't trigger me, it's neutral. Some of us, it triggers everything. And the same thing is with food, and the same thing is with money. Like, we all are going to have our triggers. But then are we going to work with them? Or are we going to demonize them, shove them under the carpet? Like, so we got to work with them. So in closing, I want to give you a little cool exercise to do with money. And it's really profound, and I think it's going to be very helpful. So, I'm trying to think, because I did it in a workshop. Sorry, it paused me to tell me that the battery's low. So I did this exercise in a retreat setting. So you're going to have to do it for yourself. It's going to be slightly different. But I would encourage you to maybe get a lot of notes in your hand. And it doesn't matter how big the notes are. You can have big notes, but you can also have $1 notes, but have a lot of them, so that you feel like, I've got a lot of money. And then put some beautiful music on, whatever really opens you up and works for you, excites you. And then dance with your money. Really dance the dance between you and money. So you have all these notes, lots of notes, and you kind of you make a what is it called? Not a feather, a fan, a money fan with it, and you just kind of, like I said, whatever music inspires you, and you dance the money dance. It could even be sad music initially, because maybe if that's your truth, it could be angry music. but dance. And then feel, like really feel, what am I, like, is this really my money story? Is it authentic? Is that my dance with money? Am I really angry? Am I really sad? And feel the truth that arises out of that. It's a powerful exercise, I'm telling you. Interesting, thank you. Yes, no, it's really interesting. I actually, if you do it, I would love to hear your feedback about it, because it really is interesting. And it's interesting no matter how much money you have. If you have a lot of money, do it. If you think you don't have money issues, still do it. So do it no matter what, because it truly is an interesting exercise. And like, just to share my experience, when I did this exercise, because I thought that I still maybe had some residual money issues. And when I did this money dance, I realized, you know what? I don't have money issues. As in, I don't have, and sure, might there still be stuff lurking in the dark? Yes, always. But in that moment, it was like, when money's like, I know that money is neutral. I have a joyous relationship with money. I spend it with ease. I make it with ease. Sometimes I've had a lot, sometimes I've had none. And there's like, it's never been an issue. Do you know what I mean? And when I danced that dance, it was like, okay, this is my kind of confirmation of, this is my relationship with it. And more importantly, it was, I like the relationship that I have with money, which doesn't mean, somebody else could come in and say, oh, but I have a better one, or my ways are better, or they work better. But that's irrelevant. That's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is about revealing to yourself your true relationship with money. It's not about, are you good at investing, or that's a separate, that's not what we're talking about here. It's, what is your relationship with money? And it's just one of many exercises, but it's a good one. How to attract it more abundantly. It's not, you don't attract. If you have a negative, then you need to resolve, because money also, it's not something you attract. You create it. But it's like you create it. Like, how do you create beautiful relationships? How do you create beautiful, healthy relationships? You do that. You're saying, oh, already feel the sadness coming up. Good. Yes. And the abundance. Great. Feel both, because both are true. Both are true. And of course, this exercise is also going to be different depending on, the day, the situation, many things. But in terms of, okay, so how do you change your relationship to money when you have a bad relationship to it, or a negative? Great question. It's the same thing. Like, what do you do, if you hate men but you want a relationship? You gotta first learn to love men and to undo your hate, which is basically fear, towards men, towards your own inner masculine. So, it's like all things. How do we dissolve them? By going in, by owning. And, to me, an effective way always, because it's not about techniquing our way out. It's like, can you sit with the truth of you having a negative relationship with money, with the knowing that really money is neutral? It is. Because, there's these sayings like money is the root of all evil, and, no. It's like saying food is the root of all evil because it seduces us. No. Everything is there, or saying like sexuality is the root of all evil because it seduces us. Life is life. Life is money, it's sex, it's food, it's fun, it's disaster, you know, it's joy, it's everything. But then what is your relationship to life, to money, to sex? And when your starting point is that it is neutral, that's a good starting point, you know. Whereas for those of you listening going like, oh no, but I know that, you know, sex is the root of all evil, or, you know, whatever, money is the root of all evil. If you're holding on to a dogma, then really observe your dogma, you know. And sometimes, I mean, I know I've been through many dogmas, and you go like, you know, like I can't let go of this one because I really feel that money is the root of all evil, and I so wish money wouldn't exist. You need to sit with that. You know, you need to sit with it, and as always, get onto your knees and pray for guidance and the necessary lessons to bring you dissolution of polarity. You know, and bring the prayer of, I want to make peace and love with money. Help me God, so help me God. You know, and in my experience, when we get onto our knees and we really ask for guidance in a really sincere way, because it will come, you know. And typically the guidance or assistance or intervention will come in a way that we go, oh no, please, not that, you know, that's not what I asked for, I hate it, I can't do it, or, you know, whatever. And it's like, are you willing to be shooken? Is that a word? Are you willing to have your roots, your foundations shaken? Like, are you willing to dissolve who you think you are in relationship to sex, money, food, and all the wonderful things? And if it's a yes, then so it will be. You know, whoever we are in this moment is just, it's just in this moment, and we can, you know, recreate ourselves infinite times until it's like, well, do you like who you are? Is it satisfying? Does it work for you? And if it does, great, because really all that matters is, are you feeling devoted to yourself, and is your devotion to yourself and to the life that you are living, is it filling you? Does it feel orgasmic? And, you know, by orgasmic I mean sometimes, you know, even the pain that we feel, like, it is orgasmic. It's like, oh, okay, wow, like, yeah, I don't like where I'm at right now, but fuck, it's good because I'm learning my lessons, I'm growing, you know. And I'll close here. But didn't I say that 15 minutes ago? I'm sure I said that 15 minutes ago. But I will close here and say, you know, so often in my relationship with my husband, I would get to those points where I go like, oof, I don't know how to move on from here. And, you know, those passes that seem so tight, where it's like, all of me wants to just run away because it's the easiest thing. But deep inside, there's also like this energy that goes, oh, it's so good to be in this tight place because I'm growing. My soul is growing. And that, as difficult as that moment is, at that moment was, that's orgasmic. You know, so living an ecstatic life is not about everything always being rosy and hanky-dory. It's like, are you feeling engaged with life? Is life expanding you and growing you? And do you have roots and wings? And do you have wind under your wings? Which to me, it's like, are you connected to source, like on a constant basis? So thank you everyone for joining me. What does Kim says? Oh, okay, yeah, that was them. But also the abundance. Thank you. Are working with my relationship with money. Currently, money brings up sadness because of my childhood. Beautiful. That's all good, you know. As long as we're willing and able to feel what we're feeling, it's good. Is money really neutral? Nah, doesn't create suffering. I mean, it creates suffering because, again, of our interpretation and because of greed and because of politics. But money in itself is neutral. You know, it is. Could it be possible to live in a world without money? Yes, I'm sure. And, you know, my husband believes so. I don't know. I don't have attachments. In your view, unite human beings. Sure, it divides them, but that's because of it's because of the value we give to money. You know, that's the only reason. I love money. I love money too. And I'm trying to heal my relationship with it, but I see I have a really hard time creating it, and there is some deep traumas to be there. Great. Like admitting that and seeing that and feeling that, like that's the start. You know, we can't heal what we don't feel. And when we feel that, with the willingness to go, okay, I know that this is my stuff. I know it's not the full truth. And then God help me to, you know, like bring me the people, bring me the resources, bring me the situations that can allow me to break free from this limitation. You know, and the help and support will always come. But it's like, are you willing to be cracked open? You know, like what are you holding on to? Because so many of us, like we do hold on to our misery. We love being miserable. And, you know, I mean, here, like first candidate for years, I love being miserable. I love pretending like, and not pretending actually, I was super busy, you know, always in my masculine, but I loved it. There was a part of me was like, yeah, I was getting off of it, you know, like, oh, look how busy I am, and look how exhausted, and, you know, I can't be in my feminine because, like, yeah, but I was doing it to myself. Like we always do, we do everything to ourselves. This video is my guidance for my new moon ritual yesterday. Awesome. I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cool, lovely. Thank you to you, and thank you to you, and thank you to everyone. All my love. Bye, everyone. Oh, wait, your husband might be right one day. Who knows? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that one day there will be no money. We are heading that way, just as we're heading towards Breatharianism. But for now, food is here, money's here, and, you know, like love what is, love what's here in front of us. Okay, bye, everyone. I love you.